If you've heard about the lawsuit going against the National Association of Realtors, well, it's a big deal. It was like a $2 billion lawsuit and they've just settled it. It looks like they're going to settle for like a little over $400 million, and Berkshire Hathaway is going to pay the bulk of that, or all of it maybe. But there's two things that are going to change the way real estate happens forever. There's two new rules that are going into effect, and I don't think they're going to be good for the buyers. I don't think they're going to be good for the sellers. I don't think they're going to be good for agents. I just don't see a good outcome to this. But in order to decrease the amount of liability the Association of Realtors has, they've decided to go ahead and settle this. So let's talk about what these two new rules are and how they're going to affect you as a buyer or a seller.
Shut up and sit down.
Okay, the first thing is that real estate agents are no longer going to be able to put onto the MLS how much they're going to pay to a buyer's agent. One of the things that this people who sued the Association of Realtors said was that a seller shouldn't be paying a buyer's agent because they're technically paying an agent to negotiate against themselves. And this has just been the way that it works in the United States. The way real estate works is the seller pays the commission and then the seller's agent agrees to split it with the buyer's agent. So they're not saying that the seller's agent can't still pay a buyer's agent, but they can't disclose on the MLS how much that fee is going to be that they're going to pay to a buyer's agent. So that means every time a buyer's agent is going to go and show a property, they're going to have to call the listing agent, which they have to call them anyway to get an appointment, to get the code to the lockbox. What they're going to have to do is they're going to have to negotiate how much they're going to get paid before they show the property. Otherwise, they're going to go show the property and then they're going to come back to the seller's agent and they're going to say, hey, my buyer really likes your property. How much are you going to pay me as a commission? And at that point, the seller's agent already knows that the buyer's agent is interested in the property. They're probably going to write an offer. So they're probably going to offer to pay them less because they're stuck with the buyer who wants to buy that property. So they're going to have to pre-negotiate the amount of commission they get on every single property before they even go and show the property. So, a lot of times if a buyer calls me, they're coming in from out of state, they want to look at 10 condos in one day, they're going to be here for 3 days, and maybe we're going to look at 30 condos. So I've got to do 30 negotiations of what my commission might be before I go show these properties. And then ultimately, the buyer might just decide that I don't want to look at condos. Let's go look at something else. Or they might decide they want to go over to Destin or Pensacola, and nothing becomes of it. So a lot of time is going to be wasted negotiating upfront people's commissions before they go show properties. So I don't see how this is going to help buyers, especially now a seller's agent could just say, I'm not splitting it with a buyer's agent. I'm just going to keep it all for myself. Or I'm going to offer 1%, I'm going to offer 2%, and it's going to de-incentivize buyer's agents to go and show every single property. And if buyers think that their buyer's agent isn't going to go show them all the properties because maybe they're not going to get as much commission, it's going to leave it to buyers to go unrepresented, and then buyers are going to have to call 30 different listing agents and set up appointments and find the properties and negotiate the prices. And I don't know, a lot of people think that just going direct to the listing agent is beneficial because then they're going to save money. And the way that it's worked up until now is the seller's agent, instead of splitting the commission with the buyer's agent, the seller's agent just kept all 6% instead of splitting it. And that's still going to be the case now. The seller's agent is still going to get the full commission if buyers go directly to them. And sellers agents have a fiduciary responsibility to get the most amount of money they can for their sellers. So they're obligated to try to get as much money as they can for a seller. And so they're duly obligated not to help a buyer get a good deal. So I don't see how this is going to help buyer's agents, and I don't see how this is going to get more eyeballs on properties, especially in this day and age. It's a seller's market, and we try to get as many eyeballs on our listings as we can, and this could decrease, how that's going to work. And then the second thing that this lawsuit is going to do is it's going to require all realtors, everybody in the National Association of Realtors, is going to have to get a buyer to sign a buyer's representation form up front. Now, this form has existed for a long time and it's been around, but buyers don't like to sign this form. Even though buyers get free representation from buyer's agents, they don't want to be locked into working with one agent. agents expect buyers to be loyal to them and to not go with 10 different buyer's agents looking at properties. But there's no more expectation anymore. Now, if you want to work with a buyer's agent who's a realtor, you're going to have to get a form signed, just the same way that we have to get a form signed to list a property with a seller. Now, if you want to work as a buyer's agent with a realtor, you're going to have to sign a buyer's agent that limits you to working with one agent. From an agent's aspect, this is good for us. Then we're going to know that you're going to have the loyalty that we've expected all these years, but haven't always gotten. But now, if we're showing you properties and you sign a buyer's agreement with us and you end up buying something with another agent, and now there's going to be more lawsuits involved with agents suing other agents or buyers' agents going after buyers for commissions when they went and bought a property with another agent. So there's not going to be any more of this working with multiple agents. And this could be another thing that buyers don't want to sign, that pushes buyers to self-represent themselves. You know, in today's day and age, buyers think because they have Zillow and they have the information out there and they have the Zestimate and they can look at what's on the market and they can pull some comp data for themselves. A lot of buyers don't think they need to work with an agent. And maybe some buyers are educated enough that they don't. And that could be true. But there's a lot of new buyers, first-time home buyers, and people who really do need the help of agents. And I think this is going to be detrimental to a lot of buyers trying to just go work for themselves. It's going to push, I think it's going to push more. The people who are already dominating, I think it's kind of like when COVID closed all the mom and pop stores down and the big boys started to win. I think this could do the same thing for real estate. It could push a lot of newer agents and agents who, don't have a team and a huge marketing budget behind them, could push them out of the business. It could decrease competition. I don't see how any of this is going to help buyers, sellers, agents, the market. I've bought property in Puerto Rico, and most of the agents in Puerto Rico are not licensed, and they have access to the MLS. They do have a licensing regulatory agency there, but most agents don't use it, and most agents don't put their properties in the MLS, and most agents don't split commissions with buyer's agents. And it's a total freaking disaster to try to buy real estate in Puerto Rico for this fact. You have to call every single listing agent, and then the listing agent, you have to work around their schedule. They're not bending over backwards to go show their properties. And they know they have the exclusive listing on it. They know they're not cooperating with buyer's agents. So if you want to see 10 properties in a day, you're going to have to get 10 different agents to agree to meet you at the exact same, at the exact time frame to make your day work out so you can see all those properties. And then every agent has in Puerto Rico, every agent has their own contracts. There's no standardized forms. So this could push a lot of people out of the National Association of Realtors, which may be good, may be bad. I don't know how that could work. There's already a couple of realtors out of California, I believe, who are starting a new American Association of Realtors to compete with the National Association of Realtors. So I think this is going to put real estate back 20 years in how things work, and we'll see how it all shakes out. This is just my opinion. You can let me know in the comments down below whether you think this is good or bad. If you would be willing, let me know if you're a buyer out there, would you be willing to sign a buyer's agreement to work exclusively with a buyer's agent? And if you're a seller, would you want to limit, sellers could limit how much they pay to a buyer's agent. And I think this could be one of the big downfalls. If a seller says, I don't want to pay anything to a buyer's agent because then I'm paying somebody to compete with me or to negotiate against myself, which is where this whole lawsuit came from, then they're going to cut off a lot of access and a lot of eyeballs getting onto their properties. So I don't know. Let me know what you think down below. This is going to be interesting how this all shakes out. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you got any value out of this. We do a lot of content about real estate, retiring early, buying investment properties. So consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll see you in the next video.